Hi everyone, it's Stephanie Thompson back with Read Your Library. Today we're going to be talking about a book that I found kind of interesting from a sort of ethnographical, sociological perspective. And when I tell you about it, you'll see why. Maybe you've heard of the name Tad Friend. If it sounds familiar to you, perhaps you read The New Yorker. He's a reporter and a writer, and he's written for The New Yorker for a long time. He's a very good writer, writes on a variety of subjects. And he's married to Amanda Hesser, who's the New York Times dining section writer. I'm not sure if she's the editor or not right now, but she's been writing for the New York Times food section for a long time and edited the most recent edition of their excellent cookbook. But anyway, Tad has written a book, and it is called Cheerful Money: Me, My Family, and the Last Days of Wasp Splendor. And that really tells you everything you need to know about what this book is about. Tad is one of the last of the old school WASPs, and if you don't know what a WASP is, or maybe you've seen it and you've never really realized, you haven't thought about what it stands for. It stands for White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and it's what the old families of the specifically sort of northeastern United States belong to as a social and ethnographical group. And Tad is the youngest of this last generation of WASPs, and he's seen fit to write this book about what that means because it's really dying out. And that's part of what he says in the book. He writes about his family and its history, how they came to the U.S., what the family tree is like, what all the sort of strange customs and traditions of this group of people in northeastern America are like. And you may think of WASPs, for example, they're often synonymous with preppies. If you remember back in the 80s, the Preppy Handbook, they're not always the same, but they're sort of the same in your mind. You can think of them as being these people who dress kind of conservatively, maybe even a little bit shabbily, have a lot of money, or used to have a lot of money in the family, but don't flaunt it, have sort of the leftovers of the Puritan work ethic and the idea that, you know, we don't talk about certain things, and they're kind of reserved people who stick to themselves and kind of go on vacation in these same places and belong to country clubs and have servants and all that sort of thing. George Bush Sr., before he felt the need to turn more populist to become elected, is a very good example of a WASP family from Kennebunkport. Forget the Texas stuff. They are old school WASPs. Anyway, fascinating book because Tad really goes into detail about what it means to be a WASP, both in the old days and today, and really delineates how it's dying out because people like him are marrying outside this social group and choosing to raise their families in a different way. And partly because, honestly, they can't afford it, but also partly because it is definitely an old style of living that is dying out for a variety of reasons. So, Cheerful Money, I recommend it if you're interested in really digging into the history and sociology of this particular slice of American culture. It may not be interesting to everyone. I found it interesting because it does give you insight into what it's like to be that type of American and to see that old world of New England and the Eastern Seaboard sort of moving on and evolving into something else and what that might mean for our culture and our society. Cheerful Money by the excellent writer Tad Friend. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time on Read Your Library.